Hello everyone, welcome. I have a question for you. Have you thought, who are the present Don Quixotes of today? Those people carried away by noble dreams and uplifting illusions, helping the widow and the orphan. These dreamers who, or in this particular case Don Quixote, this dreamer who for centuries has captured the hearts of readers. An element of tragedy, especially in those moments when the dream clashes with reality, with the pathetic reality of everyday life. The personification of grief and disillusionment. The collapse, when he sees the collapse of everything loved. And when defeated, drags himself back home and takes leave of everything he loves, everything on earth. Yesterday I posted a video. I deleted it afterwards because I wasn't satisfied with it. I failed to make the point I wanted to make. And so I'm going to do it again. It's on blindness, physical and moral and spiritual. And I'm going to explain it to you again in summary form. I was reading it, this theatre play, about 2 days ago. I don't know why I went back to it, but I did. I had come across it for the first time about, 7 years ago or so, when I was preparing students for their A-levels in Spanish. For those of you outside the United Kingdom educational system, these are the pre-university exams that you have to take, and in foreign language, and in this case it was in Spanish. The examiners give 6 books to study in the foreign language that the students are studying, and they have to choose 3 out of a list of 6, and they will sit an exam on those 3 books. And on the list a few years ago was this particular theatre play written in the 1950s. You will have the author and an explanation underneath. It was inspired by a painting that the author saw depicting blind men in pre-revolutionary France, begging in the streets, and then in a sort of a concert. And that inspired him to write this theatre play. Let me tell you very quickly what it is about. People would beg in the streets in those days. People would beg in the streets even in the 20th century, pre-war, I suppose. When you were poor, Russian literature is full of examples, and not only Russian literature. But also, if you had a physical handicap of some sort, you had been at war and you were missing legs and arms, certainly the blind would beg in the streets, and they would beg for alms, and they would carry a sort of a thing, a can, sort of hanging from their neck, and you would put your coins there. The theatre play is about this con man who has an idea to make money out of this situation. Every year a fair comes to town, to Paris. Last year he had some pygmies dancing about and so on. And everyone paid an entrance, and you had a good laugh, laughing at these poor people and the things that they would do. This particular year they refused to come, And so he has to look for some other way, some other idea to make money, to make a comedy, a mockery out of it. And people would pay an entrance just to see them and have a good laugh. And he sees these blind men begging in the streets, and he has an idea. To bring them all together and do something with them so as to make another parody, and people would come and see them and laugh at them. And how would you do that? Well, these blind men begging in the streets actually go to a hospice run by a prioress, and they would go there for their meals and to sleep at night. So this con man called Valentin, this entrepreneur of sorts, goes to talk to the prioress and to convince her for her to persuade the blind men to accept his proposal. His proposal is that they would all come together, they would sing songs, and he would pay them. And he doesn't forget to tell the prioress that a small percentage of all the takings he would give to her. Not for her personally, of course, but to help the hospice, to help all the other blind men. He just needs 5 or 6 for his comedy show. He tells her of his good intentions. Yes, he's going to make a little bit of money out of it, but, it's a good proposition because they would end up earning actually more money than they would do individually just begging in the streets. The prioress has a sense that he is not telling her the whole truth. She senses that he is a con man. But she tells him that he would put it to the blind and it would be their decision. She does so. The blind men, she chooses 5 or 6 of them, and the blind men don't know what to make of it. They discuss it among themselves. They think of the good side and the bad side, the advantages and the disadvantages. The advantages are that they could, perhaps it would be a good idea, they would make perhaps more money than they would individually in the streets. The disadvantages are that they would have to sign a contract for a year. She doesn't help them. She just puts it to them. But she doesn't communicate to them that this could be at the same time a little bit dangerous to sign a contract for a year. There is a tension there that she doesn't tell the whole truth. In other words, she's doing everything right in appearance. She's doing everything legal, but morally she's coming a little bit short. Because they are vulnerable. And she could have been more explicit about warning them about difficulties and so on, especially since, as I said, she feels in her bones that the man has something up his sleeves. Anyway, the protagonist, a man called David, he's the only one who actually is a musician, plays the violin, and he convinces them all to take up the offer. It's a good thing. You see, individually we're all kind of begging in the streets, we're all half dead anyway. If we come together and we could learn songs, we could perhaps even create an orchestra. We could do so many good things if we stick together, just instead of one, individually, one by one. Come on, let's do it. But we can't, really. We are blind. No, but we can learn. We can learn, you see. We are capable of learning. We are capable of so much more than just begging in the streets. Come on, let's get together. But it's not possible. I can't play. I only know how to play with 2 strings. I can't even play with 4. But we can learn. I've heard, he says, of a woman who is blind, but nevertheless, I don't know how she has learned how to read music and even write music. We can do it. We can learn. She persuades them. They accept. And so they have to start rehearsing. They think they're going to learn songs and sing in melody and play instruments. But very soon it becomes clear that that is not what Valentin, the entrepreneur, the con man, has in mind. His mind is to have a comedy there, a parody. And so he tells them that they're just going to sing a little song. No musical instruments, please, you can't play. The song is about simulating sheep. Ba 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 is a ridiculous song. And then he tells them that they need robes. Any choir needs robes and so on. What he doesn't tell them is that the robes are to make fun of them, to make the audience laugh. He dresses them as animals. As one is a peacock, the other one is a donkey, the other one is an ass, the other one is a hen. And David, they don't know because they can't see. They think they're wearing robes. And David, the protagonist, is the first one who says, why am I wearing these donkey's ears, these hats, these funny hats? No, don't worry, it's just, just for the show and so on. They perform. A lot of people come to see them. It's all a big laugh and a big joke. He makes a lot of money. David realizes what is happening. He feels the humiliation. He goes to a corner and cries. And then tries to convince and persuade his mates that perhaps this is what is happening. Everyone is laughing at them. He's just making money out of their vulnerability. They should leave. But he doesn't persuade them because the others now want to continue to what they see as a much easier life. At least they're making money for sure, however little. That wasn't guaranteed, begging in the streets. Long story, but at the end, David ends up killing the con man. He waits for him in the dark, in that tent one night. He is blind, but a blind man after the first time when he knows where the tables and chairs and so on are. He's guided by his walking stick. They have a fairly good idea of how to walk in the dark. A person who sees, if there is no light, can't see. And so he bumps into chairs and tables. He doesn't know how to walk, how to operate in the dark. And that is one advantage, darkness, that blind men have over men who can see, and waits for him The con man, Valentin, comes with a lamp. They sit down. "What are you doing here? I'm waiting for you. I want to talk to you." Puts the lamp out, and the con man panics. "Why are you doing that?" And he starts walking about and "Put the lamp back on. Can you see? I can't see." "No, you can't see. But I don't need to see." And he tortures him for a little while. The other one starts panicking and sweating. It is the first time that he sees his disadvantage. Anyway, he ends up killing him somehow. He's found at the bottom of the stairs, dead. The police eventually figure out who did it through a series of things. And they take him away, and he's hanged. He's killed. All right. So I was thinking about, don't know why, but I was thinking, who in today's society here in the West is the equivalent of that's for you to think, okay? I have my own ideas. I'm just putting the questions there. Who is or who are the equivalent of the con man? The men who would do anything for money, even laugh at, in our case, not blind men, because no one nowadays would go and see blind men being laughed at. But we can think of equivalent, vulnerable, citizens, the poor, whatever. Those who take advantage of them, those with no conscience. Who are they? Who are the equivalent of the prioress? She does everything apparently right. Nothing illegal. Everything is on the up and up. She told them, yes, but she kept something important. She didn't tell them the whole truth. In other words, legal, yes, but morally a little bit short. There is a sort of a moral cowardice there, probably thinking of the benefit of having a little percentage of money. In other words, I'm going to appear to be good, to do the right thing, but I'm thinking more here of my own benefits. Those who don't want to face their own conscience, perhaps, and they just go along with whatever is legal, but coming up short. Who are the equivalent of David, the one telling the truth, confronting the truth, facing the truth, and trying to persuade his fellow blind men, his mates, of what the truth is, insisting on it, even though they don't want to hear it. We know that the ones who tell the truth to the masses are always the ones who get hanged at the end. It is the prophets who are always stoned to death. for telling the truth. Just before I posted this video, I saw on Rumble a short talk by Tucker Carlson. I think it's the first that he's done on Twitter. Perhaps you might check it out. And I think, I don't want to overdo the point I want to make, but it seems to me that Tucker Carlson and many like him and before him are actually the equivalent of, like Don Quixote, the people who have come to realize what the truth is. And they have come across this I can see the tragedy again, the tragedy of the grief and the disillusionment of seeing reality for what it is and wanting to tell others who may or may not want to hear it. The grief of disillusionment. I think he exemplifies that. You reach your own conclusions. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.